Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ChinWag, the Vobes ChinWag here. I'm Richard Vobes. Oh, and the thing at the top here says that it's Richard and Julia, and it's actually just me. So there we are. I've changed it. Oh, it's all very clever stuff here on the ChinWag today. Thank you for tuning in. It's, 26th of July, 2022. I seem to be getting better and better, stronger and stronger every day. I'm getting... Who is that? Emile Coué, was it, who said that? Every day and every way I'm getting better and better. Unfortunately, he walked out and got hit by a bus, but I don't think that's true. Anyway, are you somebody who every now and again feels that life is too much, you want to throw in the towel, all the things that you've been trying to achieve just aren't working, and it's all too much for you. You've got the pills in front of you, the white cliffs of Dover and beneath your feet. There's a 700,000 drop into the Menai Straits if you jump from the bridge, or any of those sort of things. Have you ever felt like you just can't do it anymore? I think we've all been there, haven't we? We've all been there. But are you somebody who's able to pick yourself up, dust yourself down and start all over again? It's a challenge to do that. It's a real challenge. I've been in that situation fairly recently. I'm sort of in it at the moment, trying to get the various different YouTube channels to sort of gel or work, or for them to do something more than just flatline. But that's what they're doing at the moment, and it's very depressing. You're trying to sort of go, well, what if I do this, and what if I do that? And you try something, and you're just sucking and seeing it, and then somebody in the comments will go, oh, Richard, why didn't you do so-and-so? Or I don't like this, or oh, and you think, oh, golly, you can't please all the people all the time. And the thing is, you can't. You can't please all the people all of the time. And you can only please some of the people some of the time. You don't even know which of the people it is that you're often pleasing some of the time. But sometimes you do manage to do it, and other times you don't. But that's life, isn't it? It's never always going to go the way you want it to. Yesterday, I was building some legs for the bed in the van that I've got, and I just couldn't get the thing to work. And I started at 11 o'clock in the morning, and by 5 o'clock I'd given up and was going, do you know what, this has taken me 6 hours to do what was really half an hour job. And sometimes it's like that, isn't it? But you have to get over it. You have to go, right, okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna have a break. I'm gonna have a bit of fresh air. I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna let the dust settle. I'm gonna pull my socks up, and I'm gonna start all over again. And the bigger person is the one that can do that. And I'm one of those people that constantly finds myself up against the ceiling. I went to mime school, by the way. I learnt how to do all of this at mime school. Not so good at it here. The ceiling business. You keep hitting. I can't quite get through the ceiling. However, it's very easy to throw your towel in, as I say, and I think a lot of people do that. It's like trying to get in the acting profession, or as a artist, or as a songwriter, or a singer, or any of those things. And I think a lot of people do give up in their chosen careers very quickly. We spoke about ambition the other day, and I think a lot of people do. They have a bit of hardship, and then they go, do you know what, this is too difficult, I can't do this, I just can't do it, and they pull out their hair, and then they look like me, and so they give up. But the thing about it is, you mustn't give up not giving up. Is that right? You must keep trying. It's that thing about the smokers who try to give up. Don't give up trying to give up smoking, because eventually, if you keep going, one time it will work. At least that's the theory. And you've just got to get up. You've got to keep doing. And that's I said to myself this morning, I'm struggling with all of this. I'm not sure if any of this is really working, whether I'm getting it right. People are saying, oh, bye-bye, Vobe show. This isn't what we wanted. It's to this, it's to that. And you think, yeah, look, I'm experimenting. I'm just giving it a time. I'm just trying to work it out. And hang on a minute. I've got... Is that better? I've got... like when you go in an aeroplane... And not the airplane does that. Actually, I don't know why I did that. And you get that sensation when you take off and your ears pop. I've got that in now. In here, this particular ear is gone all a bit bassy, so I can't really concentrate on what I'm saying, which is irritating. And now I feel like I've got a nosebleed. But anyway, don't let that distract you. It's distracting me, and in fact, it's distracting me. I'm going to have to blow the hooter. So, you know, things go wrong. Things do go wrong, like that. And it's too easy to just say, I'll stop and I'll start it again. And you can't. And that's one lesson I have learnt in life. And I am a tenacious old bugger. I know many people don't like me, and that's fine. I have no problem with that because I don't know them. I don't even know them not to like them. So that doesn't bother me. But one thing is that I will just keep trying, much to the annoyance of many people, I'm sure. But I will just keep trying, because what else is there? And if at the end of the day I still don't succeed, it can say on my tombstone, assuming I get a tombstone, is, well, at least he tried, the tenacious bugger. And that's really what it's all about, isn't it? You've got to, so we talked about these ambitions, and the thing is, don't give up. You can't give up, because you just don't know what's round the corner. And some days, I mean, yesterday I was talking to the lovely Julia, and she was staying around here last night. And I'm so lucky to have the lovely Julia in my life, to have somebody who I can talk to and moan to. Moan. And she still loves me. She can slap me about and say, will you stop bloody moaning? Just get on with it. And that's what you need. You kind of just need that. She didn't actually say that. But my internal voice is, look, we can whine about it. We can have a moan about it. We get it off our chest. But the next day comes, we must get back up on the horse and carry on riding. That long journey, it's the old cliche, isn't it? It's one step at a time. Other people may apparently appear to have got there. Let them appear to have got there. You're not them. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. These are lessons I'm teaching myself, learning myself, reminding myself. And sometimes you've just got to talk about it, get it off the system, reset, and away you go. So are you somebody who can pick yourself up, dust yourself down and start all over again? I hope so. Put it in the comments. Let me know. If you've got a special way of dealing with depression, or a special way of getting out of the holes sometimes that we dig for ourselves, or a way of... I mean, I with my eye, my one horrible false eye, I can't bear looking at myself. There are times when I go, I just can't bear it, because this eye looks sleepy and it looks sort of horrible, lazy and evil. And sometimes I look and I think, God, you'd make a great Bond villain with that sort of half-open eye. It won't ever bloody open properly. False eye that it is. And I hate it. And I hate myself having had that misfortune. But there's nothing I can do about it. You've got to get on with it. So that's where I am. I'm going to get on with it. And so here am I chatting to you and telling you that it's still worth playing for. Every time you have a beat in your heart, in your body, an air in your lung, and blood in your veins, and a cell in your brain, it's worth playing for, because you just don't know what's round the corner. You're not dead until the fat lady sings. I may have mixed up some of my metaphors there, but don't let that worry you. Let's look at some of the comments, because I'm not going to spend forever on today's one, because I did that yesterday, and I'm sorry, I probably brained you. Arworth says, I also... Oh, hang on, there's a long set of Arworth things. I think we'll start with this one here. He says, I think farmers, talking about farmers, can't remember what we talked about in yesterday's show, I think farmers get about £50,000 a year, either from the EU or the UK government. We've left the EU, haven't we? For maintaining the countryside. 50. Can you imagine? Well, in that case, could you not just, the smart money is on the person who suddenly says, well, I'm going to be a farmer. I don't actually have any farmland or anything like that. I don't even have a farmhouse or anything. But give us the £50,000, thank you, and I'll maintain the countryside. I'll take a pair of secateurs with me and walk down a few country lanes and go snip, snip, there we are. It's worth £50,000 of anyone's money. And I'll take a GoPro and film myself doing it. Yes, no extra fee for that. I'll throw that in for nothing. He says, I think there might be rules and standards to follow if you're responsible for putting food into the food chain. Yes, I do think so. I think there's a whole load of things you've got to jump to do that. So I don't think a lot of farmers are necessarily rich, he says, but I think their income is mixed, partly dependent on grants and partly dependent on diversification, property development, renting out property, doing B&Bs, getting money from allowing windmills and solar panels and mobile phone towers, and doing fencing and groundwork and furniture, other people running farm shops and farm cafes and having shoots on their land, and blimey, it's an endless list. It sounds like a great idea to be a farmer. Anyway, thank you for that. Sean Ginley is smoking, is blowing smoke up my bottom. Thank you very much for that, Sean. He says, you're a very clever person. In my opinion, you put yourself down too much. Well, my mother used to put myself down. It's very difficult to, you don't want to upset your mum, do you? He also says that one is born with a talent and learns a skill. Thanks for clearing that up. Mark's PKS says, who doesn't like a nice cup of tea? Yes, I was talking about making tea for builders and things like that, and paving the way so that, if you needed to move your car or do something, you could get them out of the way. It's a brilliant idea. Vicky Stevens says, sorry to hear you've both been unwell. Hope you're doing better now. We are. Thank you very much, Vicky. Shirley Lynch says, I too offer workman cups of tea. It's always nice to be nice. I think you're right. Glad to see you looking and feeling so much better. Superb ChinWag today. Thank you very much. That's what I like to hear. Do hope that some of this is appealing and doing something. Mary Fennell says, can't beat a nice cup of tea. No, you certainly can't. And why would you want to beat it anyway? Because it'll probably break the china and it'll all be over the floor and it'll be a mess. Sean James Cameron says, these days I would not be shocked if the neighbour then came back out at the end to collect the cups and ask for the cash donation. Ah, yes, everybody's after their money. Now, Louise Lage says, and I know it's Lage because she tells me how she pronounces her name. Thank you, Louise. She says, hello, Richard. Glad you're feeling better. We pronounce our surname like Page, except with an L, of course. Of course. That is the anglicised version of my ex-German family name. Oh, it's German, is it? Oh, right, okay. Anyway, in Canada, it would be unusual for a homeowner to go out and offer anything to workers who may be working in the vicinity. Oh, I wonder why that is. She says it's primarily for the fact that usually there are way too many, like 20 workers. Ah, yes, rarely do you see more than 20. I mean, you used to get, about 10, and they would all watch one other person do the job over here in Britain. Now they mostly would be, I guess, doing something else. They don't usually accept food and beverages because one never knows how safe the kitchen is they've come from, even before COVID. Well, I suppose that's true, isn't it? But it's just a standard thing here in Britain. Somebody comes around to do your gas or sort out the electric socket or read your... Even the postman, sometimes, if he's got a big parcel in his hand, he's puffed up, he says, you all right? Do you want a cup of tea? It's just that. It's the first thing that you do. If you're a proper English person, it's the first thing you do, and you usually get good service just by doing that simple little thing. John Foster says there are a few actions capable of disarming a potential adversary than meeting them with a smile and a hand extended to be shaken. Hello there, how are you? Jane Cox, you're quite right, by the way, John, you're absolutely right. That's it. You get in there first. You've got the upper hand. Jane Cox says, I live on a marina, and even though we can have quite a private life, there's always someone to help or even make a cup of tea for if I'm feeling fed up. Boating feels like going back in time in many ways. Yes, I think that's why the appeal is so much there, that people want to do it. I think I would do it, only I would want to travel about. The only thing about that is, of course, the world and his brother is on a narrowboat these days. And these days, if you have a narrowboat, it's obligatory that you have to have a YouTube channel doing one about it. And there's just a plethora of them now. And I think there's probably too many channels doing narrowboats. Although some seem to do it incredibly well, and others, sadly, not as well. Glenn Derwitt says, do you find that there's a tendency to invent things or invent new pointless things today? I'm not quite sure what you mean there. He said, my old toaster broke down a year ago. It made lovely light brown toast, as I like, in about a minute. Well, that's very good. Then the replacement does the same thing, but it takes 5 minutes. My sandwich toaster broke, and the replacement won't even brown the bread, let alone melt the cheese in the sandwich. Well, I would take that back then. My new clip-on sunglasses, they look great, but they tend to unclip themselves. I never quite understood the idea of clip-on sunglasses, but there you are. I like watching tennis on the TV. They've invented a new net cam. It gives a completely useless view of the game. This seems to be the modern way of things. Well, everything's built with useless, obsolescence in it. These days, it's the following day you've got it. But you should be able to send it back. Everything gets sent back now, isn't it? Michael White says we're all in economic slavery, Richard. It's the modern feudal system. Well, I think it sucks, if that is what it is. And Flappy Goose says, your everyday politeness is an inspiration to a grumpy person like myself. Oh, I'm very pleased. I hope that some of it rubs off, dear Flappy Goose. Well, there we are. If you would like to add your comments, I'd love to read them and maybe read them out loud. I'm hoping that most of the comments are actually appearing now. I have to go into the held for the review bits and try and unstick the ones that get shoved over there by whatever osmosis reasons that YouTube use. So just to recap then, are you somebody who's got the get up and go to pick yourself up when things have been rough and you just can't face the world, but you know you've got to, because where else do you go? And you don't want to go there, for sure. Answers on a postcode, yes, and send them in, and I will catch up with you hopefully tomorrow. Take care. Toodles.